Welcome to DevOps Accents, a podcast on everything around DevOps, public cloud, and cloud-native topics, with your hosts, Pablo, Leo, and Kirill.
Hello and welcome to another episode of DevOps Accent, a podcast where we, the co-founders of MKDev, get together to discuss all things around DevOps, cloud-native technologies, and what happens at MKDev. Today we are in our usual crew all together, Pablo, Kirill, and me, Leo. Hi guys, how are you?
Hi. Hello. We are good. This is the number 21, no?
It is.
21st, yeah.
Wow, man.
We are very mature.
We can now drink alcohol on the recording.
Yeah, let's celebrate.
We can do that, no problem.
So, I'd like to remind those of you who listens to us on Spotify and YouTube, if this is not the first episode you have listened to, consider subscribing. And of course, don't forget to like. It helps us a lot. We have a number of announcements that's happened lately with us. We released a new webinar on Google Cloud Platform, similar to what we had with AWS, a regular webinar from Kirill that runs every so often. You can go and subscribe and join the webinar. And now we released a new one. You've been requesting this for a long time, a webinar on Google Cloud Platform. But today, this time, Pablo made it. And it's already released. You can go and join the webinar and subscribe to the nearest date when it will be held. And Pablo will talk to you about Google Cloud Platform. So, Pablo, can you give us a little bit, just a small introduction to what we can expect from that and what we will learn from that webinar?
So the idea is, if I remember, more or less, okay, it's between 35 to 40 minutes webinar. So it's not, so it's something that you can be there perfectly. It's something that is not going to be a long webinar. So, and the idea is simple. When you're in Google Cloud, one of the main components, so one of the components that the people is using most is Cloud Run. Cloud Run is a tool that is able to launch containers. So you can say like Kubernetes, yes, but it's super simple because even there is a characteristic that the idea is that normally they spin up containers that are connected to a web server. So then you directly, automatically, as soon as you create a Cloud Run, is creating to you all the networks and all the endpoints, and directly you can go to a URL in Google Cloud and you can go directly to the web that this container is opening. So this is very cool. So, but the idea is next, when you create a Cloud Run, that you need to understand the Cloud Run is always, let's say, internal in a network that Google Cloud create. So when you want to connect this Cloud Run container with a Cloud SQL, with a database that you have in Google Cloud, you have two ways. Let's say, the simple one, when you click, and you create a Cloud SQL database, you create a cloud database with a public IP. Mm-hmm. So, and in this case, it's simple because then what you do is you go from your Cloud Run, you make a connection to this database with this public IP. But okay, really, you don't leave Google Cloud because all these public IPs that are in Google Cloud are really inside in the Google Cloud network. It's not that you leave Google and then you go back inside. But it's simple because it's directly a public IP. But what happens is you want to make a Cloud SQL database that in this case is not going to use a public IP and is going to use a private IP. So in this case is when you complex and you start to add a number of components because really you need to make a component in the middle that is a VPC, and you need to connect two components that are working in internal Google Cloud networks. So the Cloud Run is working with an internal Google Cloud network that needs to talk with a VPC in the middle to talk with another component in another Google Cloud network that is this Cloud SQL database. And the idea is to show how we can do in the both cases if you want to use a Cloud SQL with a public or a private IP. And it's super interesting. I think So I love this. The guy who is doing that is me. So I love this guy. And it's even cool because, it's, let's say, 5% of theory and 95% of practice. And it's super interesting how is that working.
So it's not like yours Google Platform workshop that we have on the website. The workshop is more oriented to the basics and for those who are just wants to get into Google Cloud. But this webinar is oriented more towards people who are already familiar with the platform and needs more specific. Is that correct?
Yes, you need to understand first what is Google Cloud. You need to know something about Google networks and what is Cloud Run, what is Cloud SQL, because we're going to talk about many components like the VPC peering. We're going to talk components like the interconnection between elements and all these things. So it's not something if this is the first day that you work with Google Cloud and I want to see how it's working GCP. It's a complex, not a complex, I cannot do that unless, I'm an expert. No. It's a normal situation because I have a Cloud Run that want to talk with a database, and there are two ways. If you use a public Cloud SQL, it's simple, but it's not secure. Plus, if I do using a private Cloud SQL, it's complex, but okay, it's secure. We have a video in our YouTube channel, about that topic too. That we can, if the people wants to go to watch the webinar, then they can go to watch the video too in Google Cloud, because it's something like a complement. Let me check, because while we're talking, I'm going to find the name of the video in YouTube, because I think it's super interesting to do the two things. To watch the webinar plus to use to go to YouTube and watch this video
as an additional information, like the additional YouTube. While Pablo is looking for the video, I just want to remind that this webinar is completely free for anyone. You don't need to pay anything. You just have to go to the website. The link is in the description. Just go there, click on register, and select the date where you would like to partake on the webinar. And at the assigned date and time, you just join in and listen to whatever Pablo will talk to you. And it's completely free. So join and share it with whoever you think needs that. The webinar, I remind you, is Google Cloud Run and databases, and is practice-oriented explanation on how to interconnect Cloud Run with databases in Google Cloud. Go on, Pablo.
The name of the video, and thank you again, Kirill, because you found it super fast as always, is how to connect Cloud Run and Cloud SQL internally. And even there is an article in NKDev webpage about the same thing. And you can follow the video. You can follow because in this video is the real example how we migrate the same scenario in one of the tools that we have in NKDev, that is Claymora. We jump from a database with a public IP to a database with a private IP. So it's a real example. So you can, if you're interested in the subject, you have the webinar, you have the article in the web, and you have the video on YouTube.
And you have us.
Sorry, Kirill, what do you want to say?
I have a technical question for you, because for the listeners,
yeah, of course,
we have kind of a split in the company, because I focus on AWS, so I don't work much with the Google Cloud. I'm curious, in AWS, alternative to Cloud Run is Lambda. Lambda is a bit different because Lambda doesn't have this kind of like the DNS endpoint and this persistent container, more or less, because in Cloud Run, it's kind of a mix between like event-based and like a permanently running service. And what Amazon did for Lambda, because you can also like connect Lambda function to the Postgres database, to RDS, but they had an issue because the way Lambda works, if you have suddenly like 10,000 events or requests, then it will scale really fast, and depends on how long each Lambda takes, it will create lots of micro events in parallel. So imagine like if every Lambda takes like 10 seconds, and then you have like 10,000 requests suddenly out of nothing, it might create 10,000 VMs in parallel trying to connect to your database.
Yeah.
Then it's an issue for for RDS Aurora or for any Postgres database on MariaDB, because there is a connection pool. So if you have only like maximum 50 connections, then you have 10,000 micro VMs trying to open the connection to it, then you have an issue. And what AWS did, and I'm curious if Google also provides something like this, is they added a new service called, it's not new, it's like 3 years old at least, RDS Proxy, which is basically another component that sits between your applications and the database that only takes care of handling connections. So it kind of guards your database from too many open connections and handles them on the separate proxy level. And that costs a lot. And I'm curious if Google Cloud has anything similar for Cloud SQL, or does it handle it just better on Cloud SQL directly?
For Cloud SQL, I have to check that because I don't know in the top of my head. But okay, for Cloud Run, what they have is the limit of the maximum concurrency calls that you can have. If I remember, it's 80 by default, but you can move until 1,000. So, and at the end, in this case, if the source is Cloud Run, the only one, because it's a private database, the only one who can talk with the database, if you limit the connection in Cloud Run, at the end you're doing the limit of the connection that you're going to have in the database. So you can do that. You can limit the amount of the amount of concurrent connection that you can have in Cloud Run. That I think at the end for this scenario you go to the private way, not to the public, because in the public, of course, that everyone can attack the database. If you go to the private, I think this is more than enough.
I'm actually curious because in AWS it's the same. You can set like max executions or reserve concurrency for the Lambdas, and it's going to be throttled. But somehow they also added RDS proxy to, I don't know, further improve the situation.
Yeah, but okay, in Cloud SQL I had to check that, but even imagine that you have a limit, I don't know, the maximum request per container, that you have, 100, 1,000. But at the end, you have a limit that is in the database that is lower. At the end, you're going to have a problem because you're allow people to, let's say, attack the web, but then these people they cannot do a thing because the database is blocked because of a limit. So I think that in this scenario with Cloud Run, is better if you put the limit in the cloud Run, and not in the database. But okay, it's something that I will check for the next podcast to answer that.
It's always curious how cloud providers handle the serverless runtimes like Cloud Run, and then more traditional databases. So like instead of Firebase and DynamoDB, when people use just Postgres, and then you have these two worlds clashing with each other sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
We have this kind of technological division inside the company where Kirill is more AWS guy, while Pablo is GCP guy. But I wanted to, I don't think why I never asked about this before, but is there any competition between these two, like Amazon plus Lambda versus GCP plus Cloud Run, and some kind of fan groups around it? Which one is better? Kind of like Apple versus Android, or Xbox versus PlayStation. Which one is better? And one group defends their solution versus other. Is there something like this going on between you two?
I'm going to give my opinion. I don't think that there is one better than other. So, but it's a personal opinion. So I don't think that Google is better than AWS, or AWS better than Azure, or Azure better than Google. I don't think that any, because we need to think that they are not selling one product. They are selling hundreds of products. So, and could be the case that one specific product, because of the characteristics or the parameters of the option that is given to you, is better for your project. Or it's cheaper, or it's faster, or it's consuming less and less resources. So, then I cannot tell you that something is better than other. I can tell you that depends of every case. Now, the problem it is...
But do you think Apple is better than Android? For example, like this is the thing, okay? Because you can tell the same about those two. Like none of them is better than another. Everyone have its pros and cons, but you still have these fan groups that fanatically and defend.
So I have an iPhone, but if you check these Samsungs or these new mobiles, I don't think that maybe we need to compare two things: software and hardware. And in this case, there's a company that is Apple that is doing the both things, software and hardware. And then we have another company that they made software, and there is another company that is doing the hardware or another open source. Maybe Samsung is the only one that is more or less doing hardware and software, but okay, Android is not Samsung thing. Is an open project, from Google, but okay. So I don't know, because I don't think that today, because now a mobile is used for anything else than to be a mobile, because a mobile was used before to have calls, and nobody is using the telephone to call anyone. So even now in the Spanish TV, because there is a super fun, because there is a telephone company that one of the things that they are promoting is that all the calls are free, like always, no? And they are telling in the advertisement that you need to call more people because all the calls are free. Because I think that the idea is if you make more calls, you spend less data because you don't use WhatsApp or things like that to make calls, and then it's better for them. But nobody is using the telephone to make calls. Nobody is using the telephone for SMS. So everyone is using the telephone for the cameras. So, and I have to tell you that I have to admit that there are many other better cameras than the one that you have in an iPhone. The people is using a telephone to use apps. I don't think that there is an app that you cannot use in one or another in better way, in worse way. I think that so at the end. And the other thing is security, and I don't know. Sorry?
I'm sorry. I just wanted to ask, can you, Pablo, or you, Kirill, just from the top of your head, just one example what Amazon or Google Cloud does better than their competitor?
Yeah, easily many things. Actually, Cloud Run is one of the good examples where Amazon is still struggling to provide a competitive product, even though like AWS Lambda is, I think like it's, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's like million times more popular and widely used than Cloud Run, but nothing beats the simplicity of Cloud Run, because if you look at what it takes to just create serverless web application on AWS and on Google, it's just way simpler to do it on Google, because on AWS, yes, you have Lambda functions, but they don't give you any load balancers. You have to provision some kind of API gateway load balancer in front, connect with the DNS, and it's maybe like in total 10, 12 AWS services to duct tape together. And with Cloud Run, it's just Cloud Run. So it's serverless. It works like similar, like event-based, when event is HTTP request, but then it binds together the DNS and all these bits and pieces in a simple manifest. And it's just very nice and easy. And AWS just keeps trying to do something similar. Now they released AppRunner, but AppRunner is again like one more service that was released like 2 years ago, and they're still trying to improve it. On the other side, what AWS definitely does better is the how they deprecate services, because in all this history of I think like 15 years now of AWS, they deprecated like 2 services, and even those you can still kind of use via the internal APIs. And if you take Google, is the most recent example is the Google domains, because Google domains was this place to buy domains for you and then configure the DNS records. And it was in beta version for, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years. Then it was out of beta 1 year ago. And then suddenly 2 months ago, they're like, oh, we sold the whole service to Squarespace. We deprecate Google domains. And even when the migration link in the migration document, there is an affiliate link to Squarespace, which is strange because it's like Google will make affiliate marketing money by referring people to Squarespace. So Google is infamous for deprecating stuff, right? But at the same time, I think Google Cloud is just much simpler. They have maybe like, I don't know, at this point, 50 services, and AWS has 500 services. Because AWS tries to, I think AWS understands better what enterprise customers need, to be honest. So if you're a bank, it's easier for you to migrate your workloads to AWS, because AWS always does like NFS, network file system, but in the cloud. Or they have all these complex networking solutions that easily map to what you are used to on-prem. And Google is more like, there was an article about Google Anthos, which is a very cool way to connect multiple clusters and run them everywhere. And the guy, like I don't know how to call it, like analytics guy who was like making analysis of the market, he was telling that Google built this super cool, complex product that none of their customers can even understand, because their customers need to move to containers, and they're like, oh, we have this incredibly cool multi-cluster Anthos thing.
But this case
so
with
Google-
Anthos, sorry, Kirill, to interrupt, is super famous because the guy who made that Anthos is one of the biggest engineer in the company. And the problem is that, he tried to make 2,000 of themes and nobody wants to use that 2,000 of themes. It's like, for example, when they injected service mesh inside Anthos, I don't want to have Anthos to have service mesh.
all the most fancy and complex tools, but then you have big customers who have, I don't know, like VMs managed by Puppet and Chef. And then, okay, how do we jump from virtual machines to Anthos? There was like 100 steps just missing there. And AWS is like, yeah, we have this separate service just to simplify migration of VMs from on-premise to it. Like you can run VMware on AWS. So you can just lift and shift the whole VMware infrastructure to AWS cloud. So they think a bit more about actual use cases of bigger customers. And Google thinks a bit more about technology, of like fancy technology.
There was another most recent example when Pablo was busy migrating one of our services, Claymora, from his own Google account to our MKDevs account in GCP. And it took him a few comments, and then Kirill, you said something like, I don't remember exactly that. The similar thing in Amazon would take months.
This is crazy good thing about Google Cloud is actually how they structure projects and give permissions to people. Because with AWS, every AWS organization and account is like a new thing in terms of authentication and authorization. And in Google,
before you dive deeper, what was this about? Like, this is migrating existing project between different accounts inside Google that's not connected to each other whatsoever. Is like you are giving your own project to me as a completely different person. And is this it, or it's something a little bit different?
Yeah, it's this whole thing with projects and accounts. So basically in Google, it's a bit better interconnected, because imagine we have like a customer on Google Cloud and they want to give us permissions. They can actually give access to our Google Workspace accounts inside their project, similar how they would grant us access to a document in Google Docs.
Yeah.
In AWS, there is nothing like this. There is no shared AWS identity that you can grant. If a new customer for us uses AWS and they want to give us access, they need to create for us new user accounts. And then Pablo or I, our experts, they need to create new user name and password just for this customer, which is way less convenient than what Google has when they just say, okay, Kirill at mkdev.me has read access to this account. And that's it. There is no need for any extra permission setup. And same with projects. Like that you can just move stuff from one project to another, like it's a file from one folder to another. On AWS, it's not possible to do it like this. You cannot easily reassign things from one AWS account to another. Migrations like this would normally take, like, you need to set up the whole network from scratch in the new account, and then you need to migrate all the workflows, handle the DNS records, data migrations, all of this. And then, as I said, it might take, for smaller thing like Claymora, maybe a couple of days or weeks. For a bigger customer, we had cases where there was like a big migration of many things, like lots of clusters and databases from one account to another, and it's like 3 to 4 months project, because you have to do it with zero downtime and handle all the big data migrations or migrations of big amounts of data without like interrupting the service.
But only to consider that, okay, if we think that this, I'm talking about Google, okay? If we think that this is only about the migration of one project, imagine from NKDev account to imagine Fodojo account. So 2 different entities, there is a command that today is in beta, okay? But we need to think too that not everything is independent. So there are many components that are integrated one with another. And if, for example, if I have a VPC peer in between two, because I can create a VPC in one project and then this VPC can be used for another project. In this case, I have a problem, because if I have an element that is served by many other elements, as soon as I make the migration of this project that is using an element that is not connected to the other place, is going to fail. So it's only to understand that. So if we are talking about individual entities, like a project that is not using anything for any other project, it's going to work. But as soon as you have something in common, it's going to fail and you need to prepare in advance. Or imagine that you're working in a different organization and this organization is going to apply permission, AIM permissions. As soon as you move the project, all those permissions are going to be applied to the new accounts or service accounts. So all these things need to consider, but it's true that it's only one command, but it's true that it's in beta. And when you move a prod project with a beta command, when staging was not working for something different, so it's easy, it's 5 minutes or 3 minutes, but it's still scary.
But it still works. It works greatly. See, I told you there is always someone that digs bigger. So it's always true, worth measuring. Okay, thank you for this measurement session. We will expect a video from you, Pablo, on that feature. A cool new feature on GCP that Amazon will never have, and ignite a war, a hate debate between the fans. Always is welcomed. And there's another opportunity for me to remind you that the best way not to miss anything, including this new upcoming video from Pablo or a new article, is to be subscribed to our bi-weekly MKDev Dispatch newsletter. That's where we gather the most interesting content we produce and share what's interesting and new that we learned, as well as what's happening to us, like our recent trip to London for the DevOps Days conference we sponsored.
Do you think your project infrastructure is well set and maintained? We know for sure there is always room for improvement. If you are uncertain where to begin, let's first do an audit of what you already have. We will review your setup from every angle: performance, cost, security, high availability, and automation, and provide you with a detailed roadmap of which direction your infrastructure should go, generate concrete tasks for you to implement, or even take on your infra entirely, if you let us, of course.
How did you like it in London, guys? Did you see the king?
I'm going to say I didn't see the queen, no, the king. So no, we didn't see the king. But okay.
But did you practice your British accent?
I did not. I only tried to practice my Spanish accents, like always. I have to say something in favor of London. It's a city that you can go 2,000 times, and every time that you go, surprise you. It's a city that when you go, you always make wow. So because it's alive. Is young, full of restaurants, full of places, full of stores. Super expensive these days with this problem with the inflation, with this problem with the Brexit, with this every kind of problem that they have, like in many other countries. But really, it's one of these places that you are always, I always is in love. Something like, wow, how cool is that?
Kirill, do you have the same? Do you share this experience?
No, yeah, it's. I think it's one of those cities where like you feel like you're in the center of the world, like similar to Tokyo and New York.
Yeah.
You just walk around London, it's just completely different feeling from when you walk in Munich or in Berlin or in most of the cities in Europe. In any case, I've been I stayed a bit longer than Pablo just to enjoy the city once more time. And I was walking around Soho, and I never see this amount of people and this amount of things happening around me at the same time.
Yeah,
just completely different feeling to be there.
This comparison to Berlin surprised me because to me Berlin is a hive. So many people, so many different cultures combined. It's a melting pot of everything. And if anywhere you feel like in the center of the world, to me this would be a Berlin, at least in the mainland Europe. I don't know, is there any other mainland Europe city that is more alive than Berlin?
But sorry to say that, and sorry to interrupt you, Kirill, before you say something about Germany. I think you cannot compare Berlin with London or New York or Tokyo or a city like that. Sorry, it's different. It's like if you compare a village of 20 people here in the island where I live in with Madrid. Nothing to do with that. London is the city, and it's called the city for something, because it's the city. And New York, even with all this problem that they have currently, you go to New York, and New York is something like, wow, man, again, so I'm here. Or you go to Tokyo, you're in this cross path. I don't think, what is the name of that? I don't remember. And really, you watch in videos many times, but you want to cross, and there are, I don't know how many millions of humans crossing at the same time. So then you're in a different planet there, you know. So Berlin is different, yes.
And Berlin is like, it's twice as small as London. Like, you need to see the population of London is 9 million and Berlin is like barely 4 million. And in Berlin, you still feel like you're in Germany. Like, it's the most un-German place in Germany. Like, if you compare Berlin and Munich or with any other German city, it's a completely different place. But you still feel like you're in Germany in Berlin. And then cities like we just mentioned this. For me, the Tokyo was one of the craziest examples, because when I went to the Tokyo Tower, just to see the Tokyo from above, you just never see the city finishing. Like, you look to the horizon and it's just the city. There is no like a mountain, or there is no like in Munich you go up and you see like in 2 kilometers there's a forest. That's it. Munich is finished, even though it's like 1.1 million people. In Tokyo, for me, it was the greatest experience, because it never ends. You just look as far as you can and it's just the city.
Yeah.
And in London is very similar. Like, it's smaller, but it's similar feeling.
As far as I know, Tokyo is the largest city on Earth.
No, not anymore.
No?
No,
Not
because no. There is a China city, Hong Kong. I don't remember. Sorry, even Jakarta is 33 millions of humans.
No, I
living
mean not people, not in terms of people, but in terms
size.
of
Okay, could
square kilometers.
No idea.
How many kilometers?
No idea,
it
because
takes.
this summer I went to Jakarta to the World Basketball World Champion, and really Jakarta is so. I cannot tell you how big it is. That the distance by taxi from one place to another. Imagine you want to go to one match, and there you want to go to visit something. It was always 1 hour and a half in taxi. It was a real nightmare. So I never been in a place so big like Jakarta. It's like I live in a village with, I don't know, 3 horses, 20 chickens, and I don't know, maybe 100 humans. You know, and when you go to Jakarta, it's like, what is that, man? So it's crazy.
I think in Tokyo is the same issue. Like in Munich, it's always like how you count what's Munich. In Tokyo is even worse, because if you look at the map, I went by train from Tokyo to Yokohama, and when you go by train, there is not like a gap in space that would indicate that another city started. So it's actually like, if you just look at this metropolis, I would say like Yokohama is basically part of Tokyo, because you never leave Tokyo. You just end up in Yokohama by going by train, and the city never stops existing around you.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how they count, but I think like the Tokyo itself is 13 something million, but it's not the biggest one.
Okay, getting back to London, this year, the conference, DevOps Days, it was huge this year. At least that's what's my impression about it. Bigger than usual, at least, and bigger than other DevOps Days conferences we attended. What do you think? Do you share this view, this experience?
It was not the biggest one that we attended this year. I felt like it was the biggest amount of space for us there, just of the...
Yeah, exactly.
Like the inside space was bigger.
And the number of people we've met?
Because if you look at... because Amsterdam was more people, I think. It was like around almost 500 people. Here it was more like 300 to 400. But in Amsterdam, they tried to fit this 400-500 people in the small room. And in London, they actually booked a big place for this. So there was like a real... We didn't have to fight with other sponsors for the place under the sun. It was like a big room with enough space for everyone. That was pretty good. And then there was the talks were on the top. So the main floor was completely just one huge, not empty space, but there was plenty of space, basically. That's the point. That was good. If you're talking about the good parts.
Were you able to attend any interesting talks while there? One of the central topics that I pick up from the posts and from what people are talking about, was again energy efficiency and the carbon footprint that cloud power leaves behind, and it's even has its own term now, green ops, believe it or not. And in general, I got the impression that the main talks were more about near DevOps topics rather than technology itself. Do you think it's a trend now? Do you think like the trend shifted from discussing how people did something, how we implement something, and what we discovered, and what is the best way to do something, to how our people feel in our DevOps culture? Do you think this is happening, and what do you think about it?
I came to realize, so it's the third DevOps days, and I came to realize that DevOps days are just generally not really deep technical conferences. They're really more about culture and related topics, organization, how you structure teams, how to collaborate, and they are not that much about. Like if you look at the Kubernetes community days that we sponsored in Munich, it was just 2 days of really good, almost hardcore technical topics. There was like a workshop day with entry-level talks about like how to use Kubernetes, and then every actual talk during conference was like how to build a platform on top of Kubernetes with Backstage and whatever, some YAMLs. And DevOps Days is more like, why do you need the platform? Without any technical details, just like, oh, why would you do this? So I think just the format of DevOps Days, that they're not really deeply technical events overall.
But it's what Kirill says, it's community days. And even, when you go to many of those, you can discover that there are people from the same people that went to Amsterdam, and the same people that went to Lisbon. The people is there. So, at the end, you met a big number of people that has been in many conferences as you. But it's true that those are not technical conferences. Even this time, I didn't go to any conference, Kirill neither. But, you didn't go, no, Kirill, or you went to one?
No, I didn't visit any.
So, but for when you check the topics, it's like a linear topics. It's nothing like a deep, because it is that, it's open source, it's community, it's more than other thing.
Mm-hmm. But if not for the technology, what people do in those open space sessions, like there for what? For what exactly?
I think because open space format is random, right? You never know which topics will be discussed there. I have no idea what were the topics actually for in London, because again, we didn't go.
I went to the session about, really, I was looking for the people, because we wanted to give away the iPad Pro, that at the end the winner was a lady called Alice, but because Alice was not at this moment that we were giving the iPad away, so then Alice didn't win the iPad. Mm-hmm. So and then we need to give the iPad away to other person. But I was there trying to find the people to do that, not to find who is the person, because at the end the winner, if I remember, was called Asif. So and then they were preparing the tickets. So the idea is next, you go with a sticker and you write down what you want to talk about. For example, there is a guy who's telling Kubernetes on-prem or Kubernetes on cloud. And then you put the sticker. Depends how many people raise the hand, then decide if they want to talk or no about that. I don't know. They were talking about everything. They were talking about technical themes and not technical, because, for example, they were talking about the diversity and the transgenders in the DevOps community. They were talking about everything, and then depends on the amount of people who raise the hand, then they decide what they want to talk. So there is no way to know what they're going to talk. You decide what do you want to talk about.
Mm-hmm. So it's like a therapy for anonymous DevOps engineers.
Yes, because at the end, even we need to know that when you go to this room and you are in a room with 5, 6, 7, 10 people, or 200, depends of how many people love your subject. Then when you go to this room, there is no rules. What I mean is it's not like the Fight Club that you can start to fight with all of them. It's like that there is no people from the organization that is going to be telling to you moderating the talk. Is that you 3, 10, or 200 needs to moderate yourself, and you need to start to talk about the topic I need to wear a blue t-shirt or a red t-shirt, and then all of you need to talk about that. So it's a stupid example what I made, but what I mean is that it is working in this way. I remember that Kirill. Okay, for me it was the first time in Porto, and it's cool, but okay, I have to say the truth. I don't like it. So why I'm going not to say the truth? I don't like it because because you can talk about the price of the tuna if you want. So if you make a sticker about, do you think that the tuna is super expensive? And then 30 people raise a hand, you can start to talk about the price of the tuna. So yes, it's because in the last 3 months the tuna is super expensive. So I think that I am not going to buy any more red tuna. I'm going to buy yellow tuna. So and for me this is the problem, because it's something like there is no more people to give a conference, and we need to fill a gap, and we're going to fill the gap with these spaces, because you can spend there five hours if you want.
So, on your opinion, this is not like the good thing. This is rather than a lack of competent speakers who could give an interesting talk on the conference, and to fill these gaps, they invite everyone to go and to talk whatever they want.
I think it's a feature. I mean, open space is just one of the specific features of DevOps Days, and then it depends how lucky you are with who are there and what the topic is. Because there's almost no moderation, it's just one of the organizers just, okay, and now who wants to answer to this guy? And then some guy answers on the topic of the open space. And then, okay, he said this. Does anyone have anything to reply? And then, if you're lucky, you have like in a room with experienced people on these topics, then you can have some good conversation, because you can also maybe talk to them after the open space and do some networking. But could be that you're not lucky, or all the topics in the open space is just not something that you want to talk about.
And if there is only listeners, and you have an awkward silence instead of the discussion.
Yeah.
There's also one other point, because you need to talk, and it's still a IT conference, so not every people feel comfortable just to take microphone and start talking. So what happened in Porto, I remember, is that there was like this pauses of like up to 10-20 seconds till someone decides to speak up and do the next reply. As I know, could be that people came to open spaces, but no one actually feels comfortable talking. So it's just two guys maybe talking to each other, like a podcast.
You feel comfortable talking to us right now. Would you be comfortable talking to in front of the public in this kind of conferences?
It's not a complete public, eh?
Okay, so you have no problem. You have no problem recording webinars, guys, right? You too, like you're okay with sharing videos, talking like 1 hour long podcast, talking to the public, to the unknown audience about everything like a pro, like an expert. But do you think it would be possible for you to do the same on public, like on the same open space session?
We did this. Pablo did this. So we were in Porto participating. But it's only, for me, it's an issue is that I can do this, but in most cases I don't want to, because I want to learn something, but I need to know from whom I'm learning. So if there's like some person that I don't know, maybe I need to feel confident that what the person is telling me is kind of legit. And you cannot verify this in open spaces, right? It's like, oh, like I use this tool and this tool is amazing. And then, but maybe in reality,
and you just shrug, okay.
It's like, maybe, yes. Or I want to, like, in the other direction, I don't want to learn something, I want to educate. But then if I want to educate, I want to do it properly, maybe 30-40 minutes, and I would rather give a talk than like get microphone for 5 seconds and then just say 2 sentences. Because then I'm the guy that no one knows. Is like, yeah, maybe he knows what he's talking about, maybe not. So for me, the trust is important, and who is talking is important. So this open spaces for me is always like, I don't know. It's not how I learn, and for me, conference is a learning place. So I'd rather learn from a talk, from listening to a talk, than this kind of conversation, because also we cannot go deep enough on this kind of open space.
And even, Leo, you need to understand that this yourself who decide the topic. It's not that, because maybe you choose the best and most interesting topic, but nobody's interested on that. And they want to talk about the tuna price, So this is another point. And even in this conference, and this is the first time I see in my life, I year by year I'm older and older. So the people, okay, now it's in 2023. Now is this time to put the pronouns to people. The people can put a pronoun, but okay, this is not the topic to talk about here now. The topic, it was the other kind of stickers, because when you go to the conference plus the stickers that you need to choose, okay, you should not need, because I did not do that. You need to put your pronoun if you want to be calling whatever pronoun that you want to be called. Okay, there were only 3 options, no more than 3. But okay, there is another.
How dare they?
There is another.
Limiting my options to 3.
Only 3 options, but okay. So there is another stickers that for me was the most. Say what? Where you need to put 3 kind of stickers. When it was maybe if I remember properly, it was a green triangle. That means that you are a talkative person.
Oh, that's cool.
There is another, and maybe it was a triangle too, but in another color. That means that...
No, they were like 3 circles of different colors.
It was circle, no? Thank you, Kirill. I was waiting for you because I know that you remember all these things. So it was a circle that the second option is, I will talk, something like, I will talk only if I want to talk, also if I decide to talk. You know, it's like a man in the middle of the talkative way. And the third circle is, I fucking never talk. So I am not going to talk to you ever. Don't talk to me. So don't look at my eyes. So, and then you can have the 3. So then my question is, if there is a guy who wants and approach you and look at you, and then he has this, don't talk to me, what you had to do? Look at him, and that's all. For me, I think that, okay, when I was walking to the airport, in these long corridors that you need to go in Heathrow to take your airplane, there was HSBC, is one of the biggest bank in the world in UK, and there is an advertisement that was telling, without labels, we don't know who we are. And I think that this is not okay. It's not.
And then you put a label.
I don't need to put a label to know if I want to talk to you or I don't want to talk to you or you don't want to talk to me. So I cannot imagine that for the 20,000 millions of the human and animal history, we never had a label. I only see labels in bad moments of the history, like when the Nazis, they put a label to the Jewish people. So this is the bad moment. So I never seen this. So for me, it was strange, this thing that you need to put a label if I want to talk to you or no.
No, I think you are overcomplicating this, because I think this is like purely IT area thing, because there are a lot of people in IT who are not really talkative people. Like there are most of them are more like Kirill than you and me. Like it's you and me who can approach a random person and start talking to them and be friends with them. But most of the people from IT who are developers, from who I know, they prefer to talk to you as little as possible. So and for them, I think they most of them really felt comfortable putting this label "Don't talk to me" on themselves, and be comfortable that no one will approach them and start selling whatever thing they want on the conference. And I think that's only limited to these technical conferences, where a lot of technical people out there, and to make it comfortable for them, you give them this option to opt out from talking with people.
I think, first of all, that's discriminating of IT people, because you're telling like IT people are all autistic, which is, come on, Leo, like. Cool.
But I was surprised, Kirill, when I saw you. I was surprised when I saw you with the Greek one. I said, come on, Kirill, you're with the Greek one. You want to talk with everyone.
Yeah, but I'm on a conference. I'm there to talk to people. But okay, first of all, like just telling like, oh, IT people are just like, don't like talk to other people. Come on. and creative people cannot calculate simple math.
Yeah, we can't.
I never saw this on any other conference, but I think if you go to conference, you're there to network, because you're there not to talk. Then there are recordings of the conference. And it feels like, in the end, like a bit of a special, safe environment that they created there, with like Okay, I was talking a lot about Legos before. It's like the special thing that IT people like Lego, so let's give them Lego. And now there are also labels for IT people. For me, I don't know. And for me, especially because we are sponsoring there, so what I was actually we discussed with Pablo, that I would like to see an expense report for this particular conference or for any conference we sponsor.
Yep.
Because in this particular case, and sorry that I put the bodily desires above the labels of people, if people want to talk or not, but the food was horrible. That was the worst food on any of conferences we've been. And I was like, come on, there was probably on these stickers if people are chatty or not.
Okay, it's known fact. Food in United Kingdom.
No, but not at the level that is horrible, Leo. At the level that, for example, I don't drink coffee, but Kirill drinks a lot of coffee. And he had to wait something like 5 hours to get the coffee after lunch. It's not like he want to have a coffee at 6 o'clock in the evening.
Okay, it's not the food itself. It's more like
also food was horrible.
Service.
I know,
Service
food was
also
horrible, for sure.
Did they feed you with beans?
The snacks. So there was a breakfast. Breakfast was donuts and cookies.
Yes.
You're like, come on, please. I don't want to increase my body fat and put calories. It's just not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the lunch was basically these boxes from supermarket of very bad quality. And I like
Paper boxes.
We've been in Amsterdam. Amsterdam and Germany are also not famous for the best food, right? And even the amount of good restaurants and food places in London is 20 times more than in Munich or Amsterdam. But still, in Amsterdam and Munich, there was the food was decent. They tried to, and Porto is another level, right? Because it was they even told us that most of the biggest expense was the catering for the event. So they actually ordered really great food. And here it was and the coffee, yes. It's 1 p.m. and there is no coffee anymore on the first day of conference.
Ouch.
But then there is lunch. But if I have a dessert for lunch, I don't know.
No, what's sorry? Because you need to think that the people is there from 8 o'clock in the morning or even 7:30 first day until 6:30. It's not and even, for example, there is a moment always in these meetups that they give to you a beer. And in this time, the beer was from 5 to 6. But when I say 5 to 6, it's 5 to 6. So at 5:00, they saw the beers. And at 6:00, they close the doors to leave everyone. So, and it's something like, come on, you need to give something like no 6. So, because you cannot give time to drink a beer. 3 minutes, 25 seconds. Okay, it's not that. It's not the game to be alcoholic, okay? So, okay, I can be, but no, it's not the game there. So the idea is to try to spur the time and drink a beer and talk with people, because this is the best moment to talk with the people, because they're drinking a beer. Like that. So, and they close that, and then they made the second part of the party in a place that it was 35 minutes walking distance. And that we discovered, only because, accidentally, because Kirill and me, we were at the door of the building, and there were a group of 2 ladies and 1 guy, super cool people, that they were said, okay, you go to the party. And we said, what party? And they were a party. But okay, really the party, it wasn't a party, it was another meetup. So, and it was another conferences where you cannot talk and you cannot say anything and you need to be quiet. Because again, you arrive there and you have another 30 minutes of pizza. And you have 30 minutes to eat pizza. And after 30 minutes, you need to be quiet and you need to be, because there is a company who is sponsoring that. And it was something like 6 or 7 bodyguards of the company, so workers, that it was pushing the people, go here, be quiet. I said, come on, please, you cannot live in these ways, you cannot encapsulate the time in 30 minutes, run, 1 beer, now we are going to talk. Oof. And it was, what day it was? It was something like a Thursday. Relax, man. So, no. For me, I love London. I think that they need to improve many, many things. And they can talk with DevOps Days Porto, for example, DevOps Days Amsterdam, because the beer moment in Amsterdam, it was one of the fantastic themes that you can have, because it was a site, many, many people. They wanted to have music, but, in live music, but started to rain and it was not possible. But, perfect. The food in Porto was perfect. But in London, neither the conference, neither the food, neither the beer moment. No, they need to improve a lot. Sorry, London.
What was good is the sponsor just to finish it's called feedback sandwich, right? When you say something good and something bad, and then something good, and then it feels good overall. And what was good, it was the sponsor passport. Again, because in Munich there was no sponsor passport, and I actually missed this. And here there was a sponsor passport, and of course there was again like this special group of people who want Lego but they don't want an iPad Pro. Okay, maybe we should also give away Lego, because we even talked like to some marketing guys from Circle CI, and they were telling like, yeah, we also try to give away electronics, but people on this conference just like Lego. Like, okay, maybe next time we just don't give an iPad. We save like 800 euros and we just buy some Lego set. And what
Some Legos can be very expensive.
iPad Pro is more expensive, I can tell you.
And they are still Lego, right? Regardless of the price. But okay, people like Legos. What surprised me is that there was like such a way bigger amount of people who subscribed in our giveaway. I think like Alex told us that it was like the sum of Amsterdam and Munich was less than the number of people who signed up for the iPad in London, which is surprising and good. I think it was like around maybe more than 1/3 of all participants signed up for the iPad. This is cool.
Cool.
And the sponsor passport is cool.
No, it's the best.
Giving away stamps. There was this moment like in Amsterdam that at some point you have like 10, 15 people coming at the same time, and then you have to like talk in 3-4 threads with like keep multiple discussions in parallel, both of us with different people. But it's good because it's better than like in Munich. I think second day is just no one is interested to climb the second floor to come to talk to you. There's like zero incentive to do this.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay, guys. Thank you for all your experience that you shared with us about London, about the conference. And those who are listening to us, thank you for joining. And I just want to remind that all we've talked about will be linked in the description. So webinars, go and enroll for the free webinar. And I'm KDF Dispatch. Do not miss anything. We'll be sharing our new videos, our articles as usual. And thank you for joining us. Thank you, Kirill. Thank you, Pablo, for talking to me. I missed you. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.
Adios.
There are no challenges that we couldn't overcome. Whether it is immediate infrastructure problems or planning a future project, we won't simply answer your questions. We become a part of your team to help you complete the mission. Our solutions consider the interests of your business and the combined expertise of the industry, as our staff is made up of more than a dozen experts in different areas who share decades of field-tested experience and knowledge with you.